Napoleon was at first at war with the Russians, starting in the early 19th century, as the Russians, along with the Austrians, Prussians, and British, were doing everything to contain his power. In 1807, after a huge victory, especially his most famous victory of Austerlitz, to Silt, he forced the Russians into a treaty where they would join the continental system, which was a way to basically make sure that they only traded with France and had nothing whatsoever to do with Britain. Basically trying to keep Britain away from any sort of continental trade. Napoleon was successful at first until the Russian Tsar Alexander I decided to renege on the deal 4 years later and join sides with the British to form a new coalition against Napoleon. Napoleon, who had beaten many coalitions, assembled the largest army in European history up to that point, nearly 500,000 fighting men, the Grande Armée, and marched through the territories that he had either subjected or taken full control of and got to Russia. He won the first initial battle of Borodino against the Russians, despite the Russians destroying much of their countryside and continuing to retreat, and then marched on Moscow, where he was in for a big surprise.